This week on the Music Biz Weekly, episode 122, Brian and I do what?
Well, we ask our guest Blasko, the bass player for Ozzy Osbourne and the man behind Mercenary Management, how does a manager select an artist to work with? Find out. Keep watching. Keep listening.
He spills the beans.
You're listening to the Music Biz Weekly Podcast, your go-to resource for music marketing advice, music industry news, and discussion on the latest technologies in the digital music marketplace. And now, please welcome your host, Michael Brandvold from Michael Brandvold Marketing, and Brian Thompson from Thorny Bleeder. Take it away, boys.
Go!
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Music Biz Weekly. This is episode number 122. I'm one of your hosts, Brian Thompson from Thorny Bleeder and the DIY Daily. And I've got Michael Brandvold, my co-host, with me. Dude, how are you?
Good. Kind of took last week off, didn't we?
Yeah, well, you know, that's what summer is all about. It's mixed up schedules and you laying on a beach, dipping your toes in the sand.
As much as I wanted to do that, I had to do it more for my wife. It was the baby moon vacation for her.
Baby moon.
Baby moon. I don't know. You know, is this another Hallmark holiday that's made up by the travel industry where it's like, all right, you've got to take your last vacation before the baby is born.
Oh, so what you're saying is there's like one last moment of fun before it's all over. It all goes down the drain.
She's 7 months pregnant, so you're not running around having a lot of fun at 7 months pregnant. I think the point is it's the last time you're going to probably have peace and quiet.
For like 20 years.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, hey, we've got another bearded fellow on the screen with us. It's Blasko. Blasko, how are you, dude?
Good. What is happening, fellas?
Well, you know, here it is. We're all in 3 different cities, and the magic of Skype is uniting us together. We tried to have you on, I don't know, a month or so ago, and our connections just didn't vibe. Skype was being very difficult that day, so I'm happy to see a solid, happy connection.
This feels and looks better, so hopefully it maintains.
Totally. I'm not going to intro you. How about you intro yourself? Who are you, and what the hell do you do?
Yeah. What don't I do? My name is Blasko, and I'm from a musician side of things. I'm the bass player for Ozzy Osbourne. And before
Well, let's just say that again. Let's let that sink in for a moment.
Really?
You play bass for Ozzy fucking Osbourne.
For the Prince of Darkness, the one and only. Yes, yes I do. So as a musician, I do that. And my musician career starts in like 1985. I put out my first record in 1986, and I was like 16 years old.
With who was that? Cryptic Slaughter.
Cryptic Slaughter. Yeah. So that was my first band then, and
not to be confused with Slaughter.
Definitely.
No.
Mid 80s, same era, but completely different.
Right. Opposite ends.
So, yeah, completely different. So in between Cryptic Slaughter and Ozzy Osbourne, Prong happened, and Danzig happened, and Rob Zombie happened, and then now here I am with Ozzy. And so that's the musician side of things. And then somewhere up in that mix, I started to I created a management company and started managing bands. So as on the business side of things, I have a management company, and we also do some marketing and some consulting, and that's it. I mean, that's the basicness of it. Manager, musician, sometimes marketer.
Let me ask you I was going to say, let me just ask you the big question. Why would you want to start a management company?
Well, it was very logical, actually. I mean, here's the thing. Looking at my career as a musician was very, as you know, any sort of hired gun musician guy goes, has peaks and valleys. You go on tour and you make money, and then when you're not on tour, you don't make money, right? So you're either a Hollywood scumbag that lives off of chicks, or you're a real human being like myself, and you look at it logically and you go like, well, I'm gonna have to figure out something cool in the meantime that's flexible, right? And I love music and I love the music business, so I still want to be involved in it, but I'm not delusional enough to think that I'm just going to play in bands for the rest of my life. I don't even like playing music that much. I don't want to do it, you know.
Don't let Ozzy hear that.
Yeah. I love playing music for him, but I'm just saying at the point that you get there, you know, the idea of trudging, you know, getting with your bros and getting back in the van or whatever, I have zero interest in doing that.
Well, especially since you were doing that when you were probably 16 with Cryptic Slaughter.
Totally. Like sleeping on floors and doing that, playing clubs and doing that whole thing. Like, I don't love playing music so much that I want to go back to doing that, right? So I go like, well, I want to stay in there. So I did a little like I think initially I kind of wanted to be like an A&R guy because I thought that was like a sexy gig, and at that time in the mid 90s, certainly it was. You know, there was a lot of money floating around, and it was before Napster changed the way we do things, and
a fantastic expense account too.
Fantastic, like titty bars and steak dinners and just stuff everywhere, and you're like, all you do is listen to music and cool. Like, I'm down for that gig.
Yeah.
So I tried to get my hands in that for a little bit, but then you see the bottom starting to fall out of that. And then I was like, well, I like making music. I like being in the studio. So I'm going to try my hands in producing. And that was sort of a very short-lived kind of thing, too, because I saw the bottom falling out of that real quickly, too. Like, guys that used to get paid six figures to make records now are getting paid, you know, $10,000 to make records, and studios are going out of business and stuff. And I was like, well, this doesn't seem like a good place to be. So, you know, sort of logically, I looked at it and I go, well, I have a reputation. I've been in the business for a while, so my Rolodex is, at least it's somewhere to start. It's not like I'm not starting from ground zero, because management is all about connections. And I had connections, and I knew some bands, and I figured, like, you know what, I'm gonna start here, and I'm gonna see what this does. And then I started that in 2005. So I've been doing that now solidly. So I ended up at what felt like the right decision to make, and who knows, that may lead me into something completely different, you know.
And I'm sure it probably will. It's every one of us seems to be transitioning and morphing as the industry and opportunities change.
For sure.
Hey, let me ask you something. You haven't been managing bands for 30 years. So as a reasonably new artist manager, and I know there are a lot of artist managers that listen to our show, and of course, a lot of artists are self-managed. How important is that Rolodex to getting going in artist management? And what can you do if you don't have that Rolodex? Like, how do you start?
I don't see how you can be a manager without connections or some sense of networking skills or a location to where you can network. I mean, maybe more so now that, you know, with the advent of this, like, you know, we're networking right now. Like, right. I didn't know you guys before this, and certainly never been face to face. So you can do those things, but there is something to be said about calling someone and saying, hey, you want to meet for coffee and whatever. And if the bulk of the people that you want to get in touch with or meet with or know are in LA, for instance, and you're in Nebraska, it will be considerably more tough to build your network when you're not in where your network is.
What would be, in your opinion, might be one of the most valuable places to start networking? Not in terms of where, but the type of person. Like, is it labels? Is it music supervisors? Is it other managers? Is it labels? Like, where do you think, like, some 20-year-old band manager in the middle of Idaho, like, what should they start focusing on, do you think?
I almost feel from my own experience that everyone is related to somebody else. Everyone can connect you to somewhere else. So I almost feel like you can't really set rules or boundaries on
Sure.
networking. It's like you almost kind of go like, well, like for me, it's just like, I knew a handful of labels. I knew a handful of booking agents. I knew a handful of endorsers just through my own connections or whatever, right? And it's like, and it's sort of, and over the course of years or whatever, you just kind of start to build that thing, and you got to keep obviously a good contact system, on your computer or on your phone or both or whatever, and you need to you need to stay connected with these people, and obviously you don't ever want to feel like you're the slimy guy, like, hey, what can you do for me, guy? Because it took me, if I've been doing this for say 8 years, then it took me 5 years before I was even able to return someone's favor that did one for me. If that, you know what I mean? And
Totally. We recently had an episode that was advising bands to be cautious of where you ask for favors, because as a developing artist, it's kind of just almost natural for you to always like ask people for favors. Like, can you help me out here? Can you help me out here? Not only in the industry, but with friends and people on Facebook and all that too. And if you start asking for too much too soon, you're just going to burn people out and you're going to abuse that privilege.
There certainly is. I mean, I'm sure you guys have covered this topic or whatever, and people that watch this, but there is a very specific way to network. And if you burn, like you're saying, if you burn yourself out quick, it's tough to get, past that, especially whenever you're small. Whenever you're small, it's like, the few people that you might be able to connect with, if you burn those people out, it's like, we all talk.
Let me ask you, Blasko. So from the side of a small young artist who might be evaluating managers or talking to managers, do you feel like it's appropriate for them to almost come right out and say, well, who's in your Rolodex?
Certainly that there's probably a time and a place for that. I mean, like a person that I want to do business with, I suppose would have every right to ask me that. But someone that's maybe soliciting my services for something, I mean, it kind of depends, really. I mean, I don't think it's an uncool thing. I mean, I suppose it may be a matter of how you say it.
Right. I'm sure it's not as much as coming straight out and saying, is Ozzy Osbourne's cell phone in your iPhone, but it's more of, because I guess the point is, how does a young artist sort of vet out a manager that they actually have a Rolodex, is what it comes down to.
Right. Well, unfortunately, it's how you do that is you have to build value as a young artist. There's nothing more important than building your value and your quote unquote buzz. And the only way to get in touch with these higher end people that aren't going to jerk you around, that can shoot you straight and maybe won't waste your time, is to be of value to them, right? Like I'm at the point, and I'm a pretty, I'm a young manager in terms of for how long I've been doing it, but I've been around long enough and been fortunate enough to where I've picked the right bands to grow me to a place to where I have no reason to build up a band from the ground zero at this point. You know what I mean? I sort of as a manager, sort of have paid my dues there, and it would be very difficult for me to pick up a startup band at this point unless something was really happening. And
is it safe to say that for a manager like you, you sort of seek out the artist as opposed to artists coming knocking on your door?
I either seek it out or it gets referred to me from someone else. There's been times where I have just found stuff, and there's been time, and the majority of times is like, hey, you got to check this out. Hey, this you would be perfect for this band, or that's more what kind of happens is my referral network.
And I think Bob Lefsetz talks on that quite a bit. He frowns on the whole pitching scenario of the music industry because, just like you said, it's done through people that we are already in contact with that we respect. So it's like, yeah, Michael calls me up and says, hey, I think you might be into these guys. And sure enough, it's like, oh yeah, you're right. But very rarely, I think, do bands get signed from, you sending a cold call email so it very much is, I think, a part of you creating a buzz on your own, you getting noticed, hearing other people talk about you, and maybe you notice a band over here, but then you see them again over here. Then you see them again over here. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, something's happening.
I mean, for your guys, listener/readership, I can't tell you how often I get the dreaded, can you help me get to the next level? Right? And we laugh because we know what we're talking about. But I can't stress enough that before anyone writes an email to someone that they don't know, a record label, a manager, an agent, or whatever, someone that you feel can help you get to that next level, you have to be prepared to give them something for that. It's like, if I've worked since 1986 to get to the level to where I can make money in this business and I have connections and I have value, then if you can't give me something, then where's my level of enthusiasm to help you out? Like I'm just sitting around, I got nothing better to do today, and I feel like helping someone.
Totally. Well, I mean, any business relationship is based on there being some mutual reciprocity happening. It's like you both have something to gain from working together. And
Right.
A lot of bands and artists don't realize that. They've, like you said, they've got nothing to give. It's like, well, I got an album I recorded 2 years ago, but can you help me? It's like, well, maybe you need to start helping yourself first, which leads us into an act that did that you manage, right? Black Veil Brides.
Well, learn. Your listeners, readers can learn by example on these couple of bands that I have found and managed and helped and whatever. But like In This Moment and Black Veil Brides, two bands I will use as examples. In This Moment came to me via a referral that was a fellow musician buddy of mine. They were, this was in the MySpace days, and they were a band that had the agenda of, we want to be one of the first bands to have 100,000 friends on MySpace, right? And the guitar player would literally sit in his apartment all day long and just like add friends, check us out, here's our demo, check us out, right? And they would book their own tours, like they would network through MySpace, and they would friend other bands, and they'd be like, hey, like, you're in the Phoenix area and we're in the LA area, like we can swap some gigs and like even just close stuff, like they would go an hour south or an hour north, and they would really build up their network and stuff by doing that. So I found this band. I checked them out. I go, and it was very unique. They were this metal band, and they had a girl singer, and she screamed like a man, and it was just like, it was at that time. It wasn't average. It wasn't run of the mill, right? It was something a little outside of the box, and it was resonating. You know what I mean? They were getting fans and they were getting friends, and they started to book their own tours. As small as they were doing it. So understand that whenever I picked them up and I put together the little one-page hype sheet that I walked into the record label with the CD on my finger or whatever, it had a little picture of them and had little stats. And what was the number one stat? 101,000 friends on MySpace, which was flabbergasting at that time. You know what I mean? And then on the bottom it had a list of tour dates. So I got to the very important facts of what the label would want to hear, right? What's the label's objective? My return of investment. I'm going to have to pay money for this. I'm going to have to make a record. So where's my return of investment? Well, they're already touring on their own, and they have a super high amount of friends already, which means that we know people like them. We know that we have someone to market this band to already. This band is not afraid of doing the development and like the artist development on their own. They're not waiting around for someone to knock on their door and come do something for them. Now, this is me coming in at a time whenever I was actually able to give them or help them get to the next level, because they were at the point to where someone was going to, because it was clearly obvious that they were at that point to where they needed to go there, right? So what did we learn from this lesson is that whenever I went to the label that's going to help me get this band to the next level, I showed them the things that they wanted to see. I showed them how I could help them.
So there's a couple of things that I'm taking away from this is speak to people in the terms that they want to be spoken to in. So if you're talking to a suit and tie guy, then you have to speak to him in terms that he understands and that resonate with him. If you're talking to the backdoor promoter of some dingy club, then you can speak to him in a different terminology and things that resonate with him. Another thing that you said was having a story. And that is what I mean, you can't walk into an office to have something resonate if there's no story to resonate. So they built that story on their own, right? I mean, so they did do the DIY stuff on their own, helping to, build something worth telling.
What are the odds of you finding an artist or connecting with an artist who doesn't have that story, and you putting the effort in to create the story for them just because you like the music enough?
Giving them a story to run with, maybe, and then, guys, look, you're kind of all over the place. I feel like as a pitch, you can put this together from a marketing sense. It's like your music is pretty good, but your image is all over the place and you're average, and what's setting you apart? So here's my idea of what you should do. Run with it. Let me know how it works in a year, because it's like I can't be up in the mix of building a band's buzz. You know what I mean?
Right.
Who's got the time to where it's like, and plus they don't learn that way or whatever. They just think everyone's just going to do something for them, and then you know what I mean? Like it's like.
Well, I think that's real important. I get that feeling from a lot of young artists who contact me. It's like, they think the role of a manager is exactly that. The manager's going to do all of this for us.
Right.
We've got great music now. We are ready for somebody else to step in. Blasko, you come in and you put those tour dates together for us. And you create that MySpace buzz. And you put the package together that the record label's going to like. And that's not the way it works, is it?
Not then. I mean, now, sure. I mean, now do we run the band's social media? For the most part, yeah, because the band's busy.
But that's after you've already gotten into the relationship. This isn't you don't do that for some garage band that just sent you a demo tape and you're like, I love the music, I'm going to build this up for you. That doesn't work that way.
Right. And here to rewind for a second, here's the interesting part too about my little story at the record label. Keep in mind that everything that I said, I never got around to playing them the music. We didn't even talk about the music, right?
Right.
So it's like this is part of the problem that I run into with bands, is that bands they make this music and they think it's the greatest thing ever, but it needs to be the full picture. It's like if you make this music and you think it's great, awesome, but the people that can help you get to that next level, if there's no visible way that anyone else thinks it's awesome, then we have a problem. Like, no matter how great your band is, if you don't have fans, then
right.
There's not
exactly. Like it's great that you think it's great, but does anybody else think it's great? And that has to be proven. Like, you can prove that. It's numbers don't matter like they did back in the MySpace days, but you can still say, I've played 35 shows in the last 2.5 months. 22 of those were sold out. Or, I mean, you can still provide stats that can back it up. Or we've gone through our 3rd pressing of vinyl, or we've done this many downloads. You still can show that people think it's great. But if you just say, hey, I've got 5 awesome songs, give me a career.
Right.
And give me a career.
Right. And something else to kind of help your listeners and readers understand what we're getting at here is that is understand the opportunity and what separates the men from the boys. It's like everyone, the beauty is that now everyone has the opportunity for them to find a fan base, for them to zero in on their target demographic, for them to present their music to the people that they believe will like it. We all now have that opportunity, but only the ones that take that opportunity and run with it and try and develop something out of it are really the only ones that are going to benefit, because no one's in the help you out business. No one that I know. You know?
So if a fan base and creating a buzz comes first, which I think it should, unless you're a 12-year-old pop sensation that does great karaoke. If you've already got that going for you, then what does a label provide? And why would you have an impetus to walk into a major label office and try to sell them on it?
It's connections. I mean, and if you've got something going on, look, it also too in this day and age, you don't need a label. You know, you really don't. You could make a career and cut out them as a middleman and probably do just fine on your own. You know,
make more money with less sales.
For sure. And that is a viable option that we have these days, which is pretty awesome. On the other hand, a label in theory can help you get things that you don't have, primarily worldwide. You know what I mean? Distribution worldwide. There's also a thing called connections. It's building the network. It's someone knows some. I mean, the majority of people that are at these labels, the higher ups, the president, the A&R guy, you know, the radio person or whatever, they have connections in places that you don't have, that can help you connect to even a greater fan base. I'll give you one example in terms of someone knowing someone that I don't know, or a connection that I don't have. So with Black Veil Brides, we have a record out at this time, and we've already upstreamed to Universal, Republic, and Jason Flom is our A&R guy, and he's the guy that owns Lava Records, who's the imprint that we're on, right? So I have this marketing idea that I want because the band is crazy looking, right? They're like this 5-piece band, and they're skinny dudes and leather and hairspray, and they're crazy looking.
Think of real crazy Nikki Sixx.
Totally, right? At this time, it was like imagine a band with like 5 Nikki Sixxes, right? It's like this is the vibe.
Hanoi Rocks
with black hair. and stuff. So, but they're crazy looking, especially in this day and age. So my thought as like the marketing manager guy, I go, I want them to walk the red carpet of the MTV VMAs. I don't want them to go to the VMAs. I just want them to walk the red carpet and have people talk about them and
shock the people.
Yeah, and just for people to talk about them, because they're worth talking about. There's something that someone's going to talk about. And if we get a couple of pictures on like Wire Image or Getty Images or whatever, we're now getting in front of eyes that don't know who this band is, right? So I call Jason and I go, I want to walk the red carpet. And he goes, okay, cool, no problem. I'll make a few phone calls and So if I didn't have him, if I was just like some independent Kickstarter band or whatever, I certainly couldn't have walked the red carpet of the VMAs. Now, what did walking the red carpet of the VMAs get me? Well, check it out. At that year, MTV posts the top 10 moments of that year's MTV VMA Awards. Number 10 was the Black Veil Brides walking the red carpet.
There you go.
Weren't nominated, had nothing to do with it or whatever. Just walked the red carpet, and that made MTV's top 10 moments of. So clearly, we, in terms of marketing and expanding the visibility of the band. Yes.
So for this band, image is very important, and I think that's one of the things that they've used to their benefit on YouTube, which is, I think, isn't that what initially sparked your interest in them, was what was happening with them on YouTube?
Right. So in terms of a band utilizing social media, maybe here's something that your readers, listeners can pull out of, is that there's no exact formula, because if there was, then we would all be charging people a lot of money for our information, and we would have our toes in the sand and an umbrella and our drink somewhere. Okay, but we don't. No one knows that. But so what I suggest to people is like, no one thing works for everyone. Whereas MySpace worked for In This Moment, YouTube worked for Black Veil Brides. So my suggestion is always to pick what your favorite ones are, do what needs to be done there, start a conversation on Twitter, post some cool stuff on Facebook and start to make friends and make a video on and put it on YouTube and start to tell your friends about it. Do everything what all the networks need to be done, right? Do what they require and put forth your best effort. Once you see one of them start to take off, focus all your energy there and start to go run with where the spark starts, right? So with Black Veil Brides, they got a booking agent. Their booking agent came to me and says, "Hey, I think you should look at this band." And he's like, "But don't judge too quickly. You know, just here's the link for the YouTube." And so I pulled up the video, and I go, "Oh, this is that band that Metal Sucks just had a blog post about, and it was called 'The Shit Stain on the Ass of the Universe.'"
That's a memorable headline.
Totally. And I go, that means that someone hates this band so much.
Right.
Yeah, which is like, you know, it's kind of part of your, you know, your KISS idea, or your KISS marketing.
Love me or hate me, I don't care.
Totally. And I was just like, oh, wow, people fucking hate this band. Like, that's
awesome.
But look at the views. This is some video that the audio was from a demo, and he borrowed a couple of $1,000, like $2,500, to make this video, and he pulled a bunch of favors with his buddies that own some cameras, put it up, started just, you know, kind of getting it out there, hey, you know, to his little MySpace network or whatever. He's like, oh, hey, check out my video, da 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 da. By the time I got to it, it had like 2 million views. And this is a band with a demo, like no record. No, like the people in the video aren't even in the band. Like he just pulled some friends.
This is before you can actually go out and actually buy your views as well. I'm assuming this is real.
Right.
Real, and you can tell it's real because the hundreds of thousands of comments.
Right.
Like girls going, "Oh my God, he's so cute," or "Fuck, this band's so gay, I hate them," and what it was very the opposite. You know, they. Right. Fighting, and it was like and I was like, wow, people care about this band one way or the other. That video is now somewhere in the neighborhood of like 75 million views or something.
Wow.
But the point being is that was where you go like, oh, okay, people got something to say, people care about this band, there is a return of investment here.
Well, and also, I mean, from my perspective, and this is something that I see pretty much anybody who's having a success nowadays on any level, is that they're being creative beyond just what they're recording. So they're being creative in how they market themselves or with their resources. So if you don't have any money, then call up the students at a local film school who have great cameras that want to work on their own portfolio to launch their careers. And the bands that are knocking on doors saying, "Can you help me to the next level?" They're the ones who aren't being creative. They're just sitting there going, "Well, I've got this song. Now what? Who can help me?"
There can be no excuses. There can't be, because look, I can worst case scenario, I can make a rock video on my phone.
Yeah.
It can happen. It's happened. People do it. You know what I mean? I literally have the camera and the software on my phone to film and edit a rock video.
Yep.
And so there's no excuse like, oh, we don't have the money, or we don't have the budget, or we don't. Then guess what? Then the career in this business isn't for you.
Or what I hear, well, every week, to be honest, I don't have the time.
Then I don't either.
Exactly. You don't have the time for your own fucking career? Right. Are you kidding me?
But then what does that say to you? That says to you that you don't believe it then.
Well, they don't have time because they're too committed to their shitty job that they hate.
Right.
Well, okay. Carry on then.
Right. Then that's going to be the extent of what your career is. If you don't, there has to, like, for me and for the bands that I manage, like no backup plan allowed. If
I need to see sacrifice.
Yeah, totally. You have to be all in. It may or may not happen, but guess what? You'll figure it out. You know what I mean? But there can be, you can't be concerned about, I'm not saying that you can't have some job to help make ends meet or whatever, but whenever that call comes to where you're lucky enough to we're going to go make a record and we have to go make it here for 2 weeks and I can't quit my job to go on tour. And,
well, exactly. As much as you said, like the day job is important. Of course it is. We all need funds and we need to live. But at the same time, if it's that day job that won't let you tour to do that, to help you achieve that thing that you say is at the very essence of your soul, then how is that a good thing? I mean, I used to work with a band who firmly drew the line in the sand saying, we will only tour in the summer during this 1 month period when I can get time off my work.
Sure.
It's like, oh, okay, so you want to have all this success and you have all these dreams to go somewhere, but you're saying that you can only tour during the worst time of the entire year, during these small little 4-week window.
Not okay. Probably not going to happen.
And it hasn't.
Shocking.
Yeah.
So Blasko, you know, as a manager and a marketing person, when you're looking at bands for whatever reason, how important is looking at their Facebook, their Twitter, their YouTube, how much content, how often it's posted, the numbers, the engagement? I mean, is that the driving factor for you today?
And not just for me, for everybody. I mean, anyone that I deal with, we just trade stats. Hey, I've heard about this band. Oh yeah, what are they doing on Facebook? What are they doing on YouTube? It's like the music business is all about stats, right? I mean, because now we've got the visibility. We know if there's going to be a return of investment. You know, we know if there's somewhere we know if there's somewhere to start. If I make a record, who am I going to market this to? Well, the 2 million people that like this video, or the 100,000 people that like this band, or the 700,000 Twitter followers this band has, or what. Like we have a place to start. It's like the biggest mistake all bands make is there's no thought process into who their demographic is, or who their audience is, or who's going to buy their record, or who's going to buy their T-shirt. The average musician makes music because he thinks the world is their audience, and that is it's recipe for failure every time. If you just think I'm going to put it out there and people are going to dig it, it's like it's not going to happen. There's what people, who, what, like you have to imagine who's going to buy your record. I mean, I think one of the most powerful things that a developing artist can do, for any artist actually, is to limit risk for who you hope to potentially do business with. So what I mean by that is by understanding your demographic, knowing who your audience is, having an audience, doing the legwork of developing your audience before you even have released a song, start teasing them and understanding the media in which this whole business is communicating on now, so that when you finally do have something to pitch to someone, there's going to be like a crowd behind you cheering and saying, see, it's not that much of a risk to book us in this club, because look at my YouTube comments on that acoustic show that I did, or look at how many T-shirts I sold, or you know what I mean. It's like, so eliminating risk makes someone go, yeah, you know, we wouldn't have to start from the scratch because you've already got the ball rolling. Right. And I mean, this is something that I say that hopefully your people can take away with and be inspired by it, and not think that I'm spreading some doom and gloom of the music industry or whatever. But this is just the reality. And like I said, hopefully they can turn it into inspirational and not, you know, throw their guitar away. But the reality is, you know, we've been sitting here for 40 minutes we haven't listened to music. It's like we're talking about music. We're talking about the music business. And guess what? That is the music business. It's a bunch of dudes sitting around talking about stuff. So, as a band, are you worth talking about?
Right.
You know, do you have some crazy image? Did you do some amazing cover of some song and you made a video and put it on YouTube? And what are you doing to make people talk about you? You've got some crazy stats. You've got some crazy ideas. You're playing on the top of some building and whatever. I mean, it's like, you know, like I said, hopefully it's like it's an inspiring thing of like for bands to think about it and go, what can I do differently today that someone hasn't done?
Well, to steal a comment from Seth Godin that I always use is be remarkable. Be worth remarking on. Be worth talking about.
Right. I mean, think of the landscape of what we're dealing with. I mean, think of the level of competition. Think of like, man, if I wanted to find an unsigned band, like how easy is that now? Like type it in. There's 3 million unsigned average bands or whatever.
Yeah.
You look at them and you go, they're standing there. They're playing some songs.
They're in an alley. There's a brick wall behind them.
Whatever. Yeah. Like what separates it? And it's the difference of what they're willing to do. It's what sacrifices they're willing to make. I mean, this is something that I heard and recently is that, you know, the definition of success is doing what you don't want to do. You know, like I didn't, you know, for me coming up, like I didn't want to go to high school. You know, I didn't want to be working 2 jobs while I was in Danzig. You know, there was plenty, like you don't always want to go to band rehearsal. You know, I don't want to be on there finding friends all day long or whatever. There's plenty of things that you don't want to do. But I certainly believe that if the statement of the secret to success is doing what you don't want to do, for me, that completely resonates because there's plenty of stuff that I didn't want to do that I look back on and go, if I didn't do that, it wouldn't have got me here, you know, or the next step or whatever. So, yeah, I think there's maybe something to take away in that too.
Let me ask you a final question here. Imagine a band has scraped together $20,000. How would you potentially advise them to break that up? Would you say $20,000, go in and get the best recording possible with all of that? Or 10 for a recording and 10 toward marketing? Or, you know, put some towards 5 here, 5 here, 5... You get what I'm saying? Because a lot of bands seem to come in and say, we're putting everything into the studio. And then they walk out with this great finished recording, and you're like, all right, so now how are you going to support yourself on the road?
Oh, we can't go out on the road.
We can't go on the road. How about your website? Well, we don't have any money to buy a website now.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. For my 2 examples from today, that in this moment and Black Veil Brides, both those bands got record deals off of horrible sounding demos. You know, they did not spend a lot of money making good sounding stuff. You know what I mean? It was what they did. It was what they did with it. So look, if you got 20 grand, I mean, that's a lot of dough. I mean,
it is.
Obviously you want to make some level of competent sounding songs, you know. But you definitely don't need to spend 20 grand, you know. And you should definitely make a video. You should definitely invest in, you know, your career, and I would set it aside for the possibility that you're gonna be able to get on a tour or whatever. You know, I mean, at least look in the rock world, the way that it's going is like buy on bands. You know, I mean, that if you see a 4 or 5 band package like in the rock world, I'm sure it's not that different everywhere else, or it won't be shortly. But if you see a 4 or 5 band package, that 4th band or that 5th band, they paid to be on that tour. You know.
And they're paying every day, meaning when they pay to get on, they're not getting paid. And every day on the road is quite expensive.
Right. And like, look, I mean, and you can go to tourbuyon.com, and he's an agent that will take you, if you have money. So as an example, if you had 20 grand, you could go hit up the dude on tourbuyon.com and you go, I got 20 grand and I want to buy onto a tour and we kind of sound like this and da-da-da-da, right? So 20 grand will probably get you like 20 shows, you know, maybe you get 30 shows out of it if you really grind them pretty hard, you know? And so you're able to play first of three on some rock tour that you're demographically and sonically appropriate to be on, and that 20 grand is going to get you those 20 or 30 shows. You better hustle. You better make that 25 minutes, best 25 minutes anyone's ever seen, and you better go out there and hustle shirts and stickers.
Oh yeah, you can have major shit to sell.
Well, I mean, they're only going to give you one thing to sell anyway.
Oh, right, of course.
But you better be at the booth, and you better be there and like, hey, we'll be at the booth and we want to meet everybody and stuff, because it's like, look, rock fans, it's like, sure, they'd like to meet the headliner, but those opportunities are so few and far between that even the smaller band, just the opportunity to meet the smaller band, they go like, oh, we met the smaller band and they signed this, and this, and it's like, dude, you're fan for life. I mean, I was a little kid. I mean, I was like, you know, I was with my parents, some picnic somewhere or whatever, and there was some band playing. And like I remember the drummer gave me his drumsticks because I was really interested. And then because of that, I then wanted to learn to play drums. And then I played drums for years or whatever. But that always stuck with me, you know, and that will stick with fans of music too that are at shows. So, I mean, look, if you got 20 grand, try and get on a tour or something. But
I mean, man, I think, you know, a startup band is like a startup business, and it's all, your success is in bootstrapping. It's in saving. So I think, like, I've known so many bands who have had some money and they immediately go and they spend $5,000 on a video, when if they still could have had a great video if, again, they would have gone to students at a school. So I think when you have money, you all of a sudden you spend it when you could have done something possibly even more creative without money. So I really always suggest to, you know, lock it up and sit on it for as long as you can, because I think sitting on it makes you more creative and makes you, potentially sacrifice things. I will
lateral that idea too, with the idea of making a music video, I believe, is important, but sometimes the idea of what the video is maybe more important than the budget. So if you've got an interest, for instance, like Black Keys, like that video that they made of just like the one dude in front of like a hotel, you know, window or whatever, and he just sang the song and it was like one camera. I mean, that video couldn't have cost much to make, but it was a unique idea. And here's a band that plays arenas. You know what I mean? Like, totally. Their video could have looked like Star Wars Episode 7, okay, if they wanted to, right? They've got the budget and to do that, but their idea was simple and effective. So maybe like there's something to be said of like, oh, hey, I got this really great idea and it's really unique and no one's ever seen it before, and it is going to cost us a little bit, or it isn't, depending on what the idea is. But if it's something that you really feel that is worth investing in, and you have the ability to back it up, don't think that, oh, I made this video and I'm just going to throw it up there and anyone's going to give a crap. Like, you have to be willing to go out there and really chase your ideas. And you have to see this. It's the greatest idea ever, and you know what I mean? You got to work it.
And I think there also has to be some vision of what you hope to accomplish with it. Not just like, oh, well, I hope Bob Lefsetz is going to see it and write about it, and then we're going to get signed to Universal. So beyond that, like, what do you really hope to do with this? If no major bigwig out there sees it, what will this give you? And I think if you can't answer that, then maybe that'll be the difference between spending $10,000 or $500.
You know,
for sure.
I think when you get back to a total budget, I think the important thing to keep in mind is there's a lot more you need to spend money on after the recording is done. And you shouldn't put 100% of everything just into the recording.
No, never.
Because as we've given examples here, you could do touring, you could do videos, you might have to do promotion, you might have to build a website. You have to accept the fact that that money that you've scraped together, begged, borrowed, stealed, or whatever, has to go to more than just music. And it has to go to things that you might find very unsexy in rock and roll.
The list is long.
Right. I mean, like, once again, like I said in my two examples, man, like, it's like these bands had shitty demos. Like, it wasn't, wasn't high.
Well, I mean, the
stuff.
budget for leather and makeup alone.
Right.
I mean, come on.
That's where it is. It was 15,000 in that, and then 500 on the music.
Exactly.
They're on the video. But
well, this was killer, man. Thanks so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks for having.
So, are you open to people contacting you, the management company? Do you want to put out some contact info?
Yeah, I mean, all my social media stuff is Blasko1313. So that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Okay.
My info at Mercenary Management, and then there's also the I have a Gmail for situations like this. A few people want to hit me up about something. Is askblasko@gmail.com, and then I do a once a week blog post on musformation.com. So
and let me ask, to be very clear for people, are you interested in getting unsolicited music sent to you?
The interesting fact that people may not know here is that labels and whatnot or whatever, they're like, please don't send us unsolicited material. Why? Because of the fact that if they don't say that, and someone on the label or management company or whatever puts out a song that sounds like yours, then you have the ability to sue me. So my answer to your question would be no, don't send me unsolicited material or whatever. But, hey, look, if probably not much is going to come out sending me a link to your Facebook page unless you've got 2 million friends on it. Then, maybe we got something to talk about. But for the most part, it's like, if you've got something exciting going on, and I don't mean how exciting your music may seem to you, but like if there's something exciting going on, you really feel like you'd be good for someone like me, and you're at that teetering point to where you just need someone to realize that there is a return of investment and no one's found you yet, then by all means, hit me up.
Cool.
Awesome, man. We got to have you back again sometime. This is fantastic.
Anytime.
With Ozzy next time.
Yeah, bring Ozzy. Okay, man, take it easy.
All right, thanks, Blasko.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay, well, as always, we select a song of the week, usually from Music X-Ray. And because of our special guest with his amazing roster of artists and his amazing rock and roll heritage, we figured we should play a track that he is closely tied with. But we still want you to send your tracks to us on Music X-Ray, because that is where we go every other week of the year to grab the music. So you've got one more week to go and send your track to us in our Dropbox. But now, here is In the End by Black Veil Brides.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next week. This podcast is brought to you by Music X-Ray, 21st Century A&R. Get deals, get fans, and get better. At Music X-Ray, it levels the playing field for musicians, giving you direct access not only to industry decision makers, but to fans too. Strike up a free account at musicxray.com and check it out for yourselves. And if you want your song to be included in podcasts like this, that's where you go to find these opportunities.